All right, folks, it's Mr. Garten here doing a quick recap of Lesson 7. This was all about setting goals for the first quarter. So when you first get set up, you are going to need a few things open. The first, obviously, are these slides. This is what they look like. You're also going to need your copy of the Understanding Goals sheet. So it should be titled Your Name Dash Understanding Goals, and it's available in the Lesson 7 assignment on Google Classroom. You're also going to want a copy of Alfie Kohn's article, From Degrading to Degrading. There is a link to it in the Lesson 7 Goals slides. And then finally, we talked about this for a moment. If you want to have this open, you can. It was sent to your parents probably yesterday. So they may have access to it. What's most important are these codes right here. So we started by identifying our goals. We're going to create 3 goals today, and you're going to create a written action plan. So we started out by watching this video from Alfie Kohn, who's the author of the article. He's an old guy who talks about education a lot. This is the article that I mentioned from Alfie Kohn called Degrading to Degrading. You were asked to read it before class started today. Then we asked to reread it, jotting about these 3 things. You're going to jot in your writer's notebook in that section that you made for jots back in the last lesson. And then we came on back and we talked about Alfie Kohn's stance on traditional grading and whether you agreed with it or disagreed with it. And then we moved on to setting our own goals. So I have our 8 goals over here. These 8 goals will be the focus of everything that we do in class. However, you specifically are going to focus on 3 goals. So you have to identify 3 goals that you are going to use. One of them should be a writing goal, one should be a reading goal, and then the other goal can be any of these other 8. You need to write them down in your notebook. If I were you, I would write it right on the front or inside the front cover. You're also going to need to write it in your digital notebook. So your digital notebook, slide 1, there is a spot for those 3 goals. Make sure that you copy them and paste them in there. And then we did some independent work time where you went into your copy of Understanding Goals, follow the directions, and submitted. So when you go into your Understanding Goals, you're going to look at each of these 8. You're going to find those 3 that you are going to focus on for this quarter. These should be the goals that you are most able to improve on. And once you find one of those goals, let's say that habit goal number 1 is one that you want to focus on. We're just going to make that bold. And then this particular task says the student will demonstrate responsibility in their own learning habits, meeting deadlines, following instructions, seeking help, advocating for themselves, knowing how to pursue knowledge, and mentor texts on their own. So how are you going to be able to show this growth to your teachers? You're going to be meeting with me and Mr. D for writing conferences where you explain how exactly you are doing these things that are outlined in the goal. So, for example, you might say that Infinite Campus is a good example of how you are going to meet these goals. So you say every assignment was turned in on time, and you can show that through Infinite Campus. You might bring your Gmail and show how many times you emailed your teachers. Advocating for yourself, you might also bring your notebook, showing that you've been tracking mentor texts on your own. Then you need to think about what potential obstacles could keep you from reaching your goal. Maybe you practice every day after school, and so you won't have, maybe practice will get in the way and you won't be able to do everything. So you need to come up with a solution for that. What will you do to prevent or overcome these obstacles? Maybe you complete the work in class, or make sure that if you don't get it completed in class, you're going to do it during lunch. Once you've done that for 3 different goals, the 3 that you're focusing in on this quarter, you can turn it in. Once we did that, we talked about what the best pizza topping was, and then we had some writing time. For the writing time, this is done in your notebook. This is your personal notebook, so this is not going to be shared with us unless we ask for it in your writing conference. you're going to set a timer for somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. Remember, you're trying to build your writing stamina. So if you set your timer for 12 minutes last time, make sure that it's at least 12 minutes this time. You are going to be writing about your goals. Why did you choose these goals? What are you going to do to meet them? What obstacles are you going to have to overcome in order to meet those goals? So these are all things that you already wrote about in the last assignment. But also write about how these goals align with Alfie Kohn's theories about grades. Now, this is a 10 to 15 minute writing. You might cover all of these things in the first 5 minutes. That's okay. Keep writing. Maybe you start writing a story about your eighth grade teacher who was not the best with traditional grading and everything that happened in that class. That's fine. Whatever tangent your writing takes you off into, just continue to write until that timer goes off. Once you're done, there's a link to the exit ticket up here. Make sure that you fill it out. For homework, there's a collection of short stories. It's linked right here. Read The Open Window by Saki. It's the first one in there. We're going to go over it on lesson 8. And then if you want to, here's a video about pizza.